guess what? We're live.
It's Jess The Ska Kid. We're at Palisade Sheila Reno, and tonight with us we have Old Wolves. Oh! Awesome set. Thank you, Joe. I love hearing you play all of the time. I would book you for every single fucking show I ever do. Just as like.
Go ahead, Eureka.
Yeah? I know. You've never told me no, which is wonderful. So,
fulcrums.
What I want to talk to you about is the new album that you released August 17th of this past year. The day that hit, I was on my way to work and I listened to the whole thing and was like, this is fucking mind-blowing. I loved it. We played it for New Music Friday that night, and then we've played a few other songs off of that just to highlight this upcoming show. So I want to talk about your new album, and I want to talk about the tour that you just did and your projections as we move forward into 2019. So let's start with the album. It is called
The Seventh is Made of Phantoms.
How did you come up with that?
That, so had a post-rock type band with a friend of mine, Amanda, and that's the name of that band. It was called that. And that's also, it's the name of an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Ah.
Yeah. There's an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Seventh is Made Up of Phantoms.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that is an EP or an LP?
It's a full-length record. Yeah. I think it's just under 30 minutes, so by like standards, I think it still is an EP, but I don't know. It's a full.
We'll call it that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's full-length.
that's available on Bandcamp for anybody who's listening. Joe also has multiple albums up on Bandcamp that you can also listen to. But
The record is also up on iTunes and Spotify, and those are the main two, and I don't remember because, yeah, I think it's up on Pandora as well. So.
did you post them there?
Through DistroKid, I did.
Why?
Because it was cheap and effective, and.
But now you know you don't own the rights to your music, right?
No, you do.
No, you don't. They're the publisher. So when this gets put on YouTube, I will get a copyright notice saying that I can't play your stuff because of the distro. Why?
Because I just wanted the service. I don't know.
Okay, so in the future, if you want that service and you need somebody to help you matriculate what is known as the World Wide Web, you could reach out to individuals who will do that without charging you and owning your rights to your money. Just so you know.
Okay.
Moving forward, is this the first album you've done with a distributor?
Yes. All the rest of the stuff I've just self-released on Bandcamp. So.
And did you initially release this one on Bandcamp and then go to a distributor?
Right.
Who recorded this?
Me.
Talk about that process, because I've known you for almost 4 years, I think now, and everything that you've done has been do-it-yourself. From your own booking to merch to album to release to all of it. So what is the significance as far as not having other people involved?
Well, I mean, I've been in bands since I was like 15 years old, and part of the reason I started Old Wolves just in general is because I wanted to be able to do everything that I wanted to do on my own terms. You know what I mean? So, and that's why like everything that I do, with the exception of DistroKid, everything that I do is all in-house. Like I don't source out artwork. I don't go to a studio and record. I don't do any of that. I just built everything myself. So, and I like being able to do that because I like as few hands in the process as possible, you know, so.
So this is something that you recorded at home. Have
Correct.
you built your own little place, or do you just sit in your room and record it and then you master it on some sort of program, or tell us about that process?
Well, I use an audio interface, and then I have like a DAW and condenser mics and everything that you would need to record. So I mean, it's not a full like in-home studio, but it functions as one. So, yeah. Is that
Who does your artwork?
I did it, and I generally will do it. So I've had a few people like make things that it ended up not using, but basically everything that I've used or put out has been all of my work. Yeah, I mean, I went to school for graphic design, so yeah, I did all that on my own.
So back, I think it was in August, the week before you released your record, you asked people to like draw something and post it.
Oh yeah.
So that they could win an album.
Yeah.
Who won?
My buddy out of Milwaukee, his name is Shoes. I think on Facebook it's different. I don't think it says Shoes on Facebook. It's like Mathimus Wasmonia, I think is his name. But yeah, I still actually have to. I did give him what I said I would. But what I was going to do is I was gonna for like the booklet for the record, I was gonna put a bunch of people's drawings of my face in there.
Ooh.
Yeah, but like I said, most of the stuff that people have like submitted and like tried, I've just kind of been like, oh cool, and then just went and did it on my own anyway.
So did DistroKid, now with this new album, did they actually press your record for you? You still do all of that?
It's just online distribution.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You know, you have, I think, what, 12 or 13 songs on that?
On Phantoms, I think there's 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at numbers. I was just listening to it on my way to work. That album has a lot of sound to it. It doesn't sound like it's just you. So what did you do to beef up and add in things to make it almost sound like you are a full band?
Well, from front to back on it, I played guitar, synthesizer, various like percussive elements were added. Like I'm pretty sure I banged on a suitcase, and I played a rain stick, and I think I played a recorder, and I had little bells, and I played bass on it too, and yeah. But everything on the record is me, and like I played all of it.
Gotcha. So this leads to a question that is asked quite frequently here. When did you start playing, and what was your first instrument, and what else can you play? See? 3 parts. It's like the holy fucking Trinity. Calm down.
Whatever, that's my question.
Well, I started playing guitar, but I honestly had no idea what I was doing. And years later, I realized that the way I learned to play the guitar was I basically tuned all the strings to like kind of an open tuning, and then just like moved my hands around to make some shit happen, you know, like. But that didn't really amount to much. I think I quit shortly after playing guitar because a band that I was trying to join needed a bass player. And so like the first real instrument that I like learned how to play was a bass guitar. And yeah. And that was when I was 13 years old. Yeah. I remember everyone in my neighborhood, we'd all go through phases where everyone would be really into one thing, and then we'd like gravitate to something else. And so initially everyone was always into like BMX biking, you know. So I had a Diamondback, and
yeah, that's fancy.
Yeah, I mean it was a piece of shit, but it was awesome and I loved it. But like when everyone then gravitated from BMXing to guitar, like I kind of still rode my bike, but I ended up actually trading my bike for a guitar because like I was like a kid. I didn't have any money, so
It's a barter system. It works perfect.
And it was like, I forget the brand of it, but it was one of those guitars that had the like an amp built into it. So it had this, where a speaker was supposed to be, there was just this giant hole. So I had like, my first guitar was a guitar with a huge hole right in the middle of it.
It was broke.
It wasn't broken, it just wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Pieces were omitted.
Yeah, right. And I learned to just do whatever I could on that. You know, I played it through a karaoke machine. That was like my amp, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go on.
And then, yeah, and still like all those people that like gravitated towards guitar, then gravitated towards something else. And I'm like still the only person from that group of people playing. So like, it worked out pretty well. I'm glad. I mean, it sucked that I had to trade my bike, but I'm glad I did.
And if you buy his record, he can once again have a bike.
Oh, I have a bike again, so
Good.
it all worked out.
Is that the same bike about Black Tongue?
No. The bike that I referenced when I introduced the song Black Tongue, that was in I forget what that was actually. It was a bike that had those mag wheels on it.
GT?
I don't think it was a GT. I think I was too poor for a GT, but like
No?
it had. All I really remember is because it was like my prized possession because I always wanted a bike without the spokes, but like those just plastic.
Yeah.
So I had that, and it got stolen, and some guy, and I found where the bike was, and it was in this kid's garage, and so I went up to his like house and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, my bike's in your garage," and the kid's dad said, "Well, if your bike is in my garage, then that's where God wanted it to be."
Oh, what the fuck? He just got at you? Did you say, "Excuse me, sir, what are the 10 commandments? Thou shalt not
Fucking
steal" is one of
shit.
them.
Yeah, I don't.
Noah didn't bring 2 bikes.
Goddamn.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was. I mean, in kind of a strange way now that I think about it, like biking, for some weird reason, has had a huge effect on me playing music. And then the third part of that question was, what instruments can I play?
Cheers.
Well, obviously guitar, bass. I play the banjo. I own a harmonica that I can like trick you into thinking I know how to play. Same with the drums. I can play piano like very little. I actually want to learn to play piano better because I want to have that like be kind of more of a centerpiece on the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to start playing more piano. And what else? I used to play trombone and trumpet. I own a clarinet. I got the clarinet and thought I would be the next Benny Goodman, but it didn't
That's why I started playing clarinet.
pan out. And then, I mean, I go to the thrift stores a lot, and I'll basically buy any musical instrument. If it's cool, I'll buy it, or if it's less than like $5, I'll buy it. I don't care what it is. Like, so I have like a million tambourines. I have like a bunch of recorders, and yeah, I have a whole suitcase full of like weird percussive. I have those thumb pianos that
Imbira.
kalimba, I think it's called.
Kalimba, yeah. Kalimba, Imbira, same thing.
Yeah. So I have a couple of those. I just have a pretty big stockpile of instruments.
Will we see these random instruments introduced into anything new that you're recording?
Actually, I'm pretty sure most of them have made it onto various recordings. Like I played the kalimba on the last record I put out, which the name escapes me at this moment. Stain Crows, that's what it was, yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is also up on my Bandcamp.
I feel like you've released a lot of things in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I am a pretty prolific recorder of songs.
You do that and you tour a significant amount.
Yeah.
Why do you tour so much?
I don't know. I love doing that. I like being out on the road. It's fun, but like there are aspects of touring that are weird that like kind of make me not want. Like this past tour, I was just in Joliet on Friday, and the weird thing about playing shows that are far away from your house is like there's a lot of time between the show and then the next show. Like you don't just like play a show, get in your car and drive, and then you're at another show and you get to play like 2 hours later. Like you're spending a lot of time just like kind of sitting around doing nothing, you know? So that part of it is less than ideal. But I mean, I do like being out on the road. I do like to like travel and experience different things, and because I traded a bike when I was 12 years old, I get to do that. So
That's very true. Are you all self-taught on everything?
yeah. I've never had a lesson. I mean, unless you count YouTube, which I don't. So no.
Yeah, no, that's more like.
And I can't learn from YouTube anyway. I've tried, but
It's like research.
the way I like my process is I just like fumble through until I figure something out, and then I kind of hone that. You know?
By ear.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now at this point, it's like I can figure out things by ear because I've become so familiar with the instrument that like I know when things are happening. So yeah.
So when you started, like I remember you've been on the actual when it was on an FM sort of thing, and I think we briefly spoke, and then later on in another show when we were talking, you had casually mentioned that you had been in punk bands and rock bands and other sorts of things. What did you initially start off playing in a band? Like what genre, and how do you end up doing this?
I played bass in a punk rock band. That was the first thing I ever did. First like official thing. I think I had written a song about boobs when I was learning to play the guitar.
I touch them as well as I touch this. I don't know what I'm doing. Sounds like a great song.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And so I started out like officially in a punk rock band, and then I've been in various different bands since then. Like I've played in like a jam rock oriented type band. And I've played in a hippie band for a second.
What's a hippie band?
Why do I get looked at?
Like a fucking jam band, you know? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that music, but there is something to be learned in every situation you put yourself into. So in that way, like, it was beneficial. And, I mean, playing music is cool, so you can do whatever you want, you know?
Mm-hmm. How did you transition from punk and rock and jam to doing this acoustic, blues, folk type music?
You know, I really have no idea, but like
I'm asking you a lot of hard questions.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know how or like where the path like led to this. I just know that it's not that uncommon of a like scenario to have play out, because like now that I play in this root scene a lot, I meet a lot of people who are also teenagers playing in punk rock bands that ended up playing roots music. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I really don't know how I made it here. I don't know, I feel like when you're playing punk rock, there's a rock element to it, you know what I mean? Like everything originates from like bluegrass and blues and like that type of stuff. So you get into punk rock and then you start like listening. I mean, I was into rock before I was into punk rock. So like you can follow that stuff back very easily, especially now. And so like, I don't know, I guess like for me personally, I just discovered that stuff. And also, I guess it's easier to play like blues type music when you're on your own, you know, because it's hard to like, I mean, folk punks do it, I guess, but like, it just made sense to do that, and I love that music, so yeah.
How long has Old Wolves been Old Wolves?
Since November Well, my first official show was September 8th, 2014.
Oh.
But I put out a record February of that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I put out a record long before I had ever even played a show.
So I met you just as you had started being this.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how come Old Wolves? Where did that name originate from? And it has kind of become your thing.
Yeah.
Like you're one person, but you're a fucking pack.
Right.
How'd
yeah.
that work? The Hobbit wants to know.
Yes.
Well, Old Wolves is it's a couple different things actually. The name Old Wolves is kind of a nod to various past bands I was into, because we would call each other Wolf Brothers. I don't know why, but that's what we did. But
Because when you're riding bikes and shit's real and you're wolves for life. Oh!
yeah, maybe that's it, or maybe it was just like cool to be Wolf Brothers. I don't really know, but that's so Old Wolves is a nod to that, and also I just like the idea of the like elder wolves in the pack. You know, like
I like wolves. I like them.
I like wolves and I
Like
like
them a
old
lot.
things. I work in a nerd. I mean, it just made sense, man. And I mean, maybe equally as important, it just sounds fucking cool. So.
It does sound really cool. It does.
It's just a cool name.
Watching you at Bremen, that dog was fucking on point.
Oh yeah.
That was
yeah.
so good. We're sitting there at this cafe.
Yeah, this was the best moment of my
It
career.
was super great. He plays, he stops, and the dog that's in there goes, oh! And it was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it's all been downhill from there.
You played you played with the Dirty Generals too. They have since become not a thing, but that was a really good show. And it's been fun getting to watch you. Like,
I think I was still on like fully acoustic at that point,
yes,
wasn't I? Yeah.
yes. It was just you and a guitar.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of interesting that you, I would say, rank in popularity like the other iconic punk bands in Kenosha. Everybody very much loves hearing you play. Where did you learn to sing?
That I have no idea. That I just like I never learned to sing, and I never knew that I really could. But like, I played in the like rock jam band I mentioned, and they would the singer Tim, he would like farm out some of the vocal responsibilities to me, just to have like a backup vocal, you know, not because I was any good at it, but he just wanted that there. And then like I started practicing doing it, and like, wow, maybe I actually sound kind of good doing this. And yeah, and I mean, since I was a kid, I always wanted to do records. I always wanted to make records, you know, and the discovery that maybe I could sing was like pretty awesome, because it meant that I could do all of it on my own, you know. So, and that's what I'm fucking doing, man.
You're doing all of it on your own. Do you have, I mean, people can come up to you and say, can I buy a CD? You're really good about bringing merch to things. But what about actual pressed records? Are you thinking that ever you will have those? Or cassettes?
As far as like vinyl, or I mean, part of the unfortunate situation of being a solo band act, whatever you want to call it, is, yeah, you get, like, you can do whatever you want, but you also have to foot the bill for everything that you do. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's no splitting the cost of vinyl with anybody else, and that's like, I think I looked in the 7 inches and they were like $1,500 or something like that, and that's, I mean, that's great, and maybe at some point I can, like, you know, shop a record to a label and have them like work it out that way. But I mean, as far as me being completely solo, unless I happen into some fucking huge windfall of money, I don't see like vinyl being like a thing I can really afford to do.
Is it more affordable to go on tour? Do you make up any money?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's another thing, and I don't want to harp on this a lot, but doing this solo and playing the music that I do, playing shows and being paid to do that is far easier than if I were in like a punk rock band. Because like I can play anywhere, you know, like I have a show booked at a Chinese food restaurant right now. Like you can't, like if you were in a punk, like you couldn't do that, you know? So there are doors and there are places for me that like you couldn't really do if you were in a band. Mm-hmm. And also like people are willing to pay you to do those things. So more often than not, the travel, the gas money, that's usually like, if it's not like compensated fully and then some, it's at least I'm breaking even on things. Yeah, so.
That's phenomenal. Like, here's a question, it's personal, and you can tell me to fuck off.
Fuck off.
Okay. But I'm gonna ask it before you tell me that. Only because you did bring up that you actually make money from doing this.
Sure.
And almost everybody else that we've talked to says no. But a lot of people we've talked to don't have an asking price. When somebody asks you if you want to join a show or if they can book you, do you say yes, but here's my price to start?
Well, I'm never, I guess, lately I have been a little bit more, but most of the time I'm not the one to like offer payment. But when people do ask me, they'll ask me like what range an hour is, you know, and then they'll like multiply that by how many hours they want from me. Yeah. Did you want me to tell you how much I make?
You don't have to. That's why I left it as nondescript. Yes.
I have a question. What is your opinion on pay to play?
I absolutely refuse to do that.
Will you also refuse to go to shows where you know that bands have to pay to play?
That's a good question, but I mean, I don't generally go to shows that I can think of one big one that happens in this area that I've been asked to do every year and have refused. Yeah.
Which is?
Can I guess? We're not gonna go there. We'll discuss this later. That'll be in the footnotes. Just kidding. That's no. You know why? Because we're better people than most. That's why.
We are?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I won't do the pay to play. I think that structure is fucking bullshit. Yeah, so no, I won't do that.
Yeah. But you'll pay DistroKid to distribute your money and take that. I have to say this because it hurts my heart because I know that you're going to get fucked. I know that if you ever tell DistroKid that you want your music taken off of those platforms and that you want to own them again, they own your stuff now. Like, you can play that, but they're still going to have it on those platforms for you. So next time you release an album, do you know what you need in order to be on those platforms that you paid for? Do you know what you need?
What's that?
You just need a SoundCloud account, which is free.
I have a SoundCloud account.
That's all you need to be on iTunes.
And it's fucking weird, but I have one.
That's all you need to be on iTunes and Spotify.
I didn't know that.
Now you do.
Also, the reason I chose DistroKid is because it was suggested to me by like a few different people who are like doing the same things.
Yes.
So
We have learned last year when we started doing this thing, we connected with this dude named James White who runs a band called The Trees of Life. He grew up in the music scene. His parents did sound, they ran a venue, they booked bands, they did all of this. So from his roots onward, he saw what all of this was about. As he got into bands himself, and he was actually making music and people were starting to want to sign him and do other things, he discovered that in a lot of these contracts, you lose the rights and the royalties to whatever it is that you allow people to then distribute for you. So he took it upon himself to seek out people who would distribute but let you be the publisher. Record Union is a distributor that will distribute your music but allows you to be the publisher. So the only thing that you're doing is really paying someone to post it, but you get to keep the rights. So if it popped up anywhere, you know, like when we play it on YouTube, it'll pop up that DistroKid owns your shit. And I will show you as soon as I get the email from it, just to prove my point.
has that happened? Like
Every single band who has used a distributor, I get flagged.
really?
I don't have to take it down from YouTube because of the way that the contracts are written, because I'm not monetizing it. But that band isn't either. So when it gets played on my YouTube, DistroKid gets the money, or CD Baby gets the money, if that band has a YouTube that they have set up monetization for, they can get a percentage of what that distributor made. But Record Union is a distributor that allows you to be the publisher, which means that you own your copyright laws. So what you distribute, or what they help you distribute, you get to own and keep. Just so you know.
Can I get a knife chop in
and
there?
this was proven when we had a band come play. They played their whole album, and it got flagged on YouTube. And I sent this to them, and I said, guys, this is my point. It says right here, copyright by, I said, what's the name? Well, it's ours. I said, no, what does that say? It says copyright by CD Baby. It does not say your name. If you were the publisher and you owned the rights to this, it would say your name. Record Union will let you do that. But we'll talk more about that when you release your next album. Where did you go on tour? Very briefly. We're almost to the top of the hour, so I have to like wrap up my questions quick.
Sure. This past
Weekend.
weekender we'll call it. I did a show here in Kenosha on Thursday.
At the Port.
At the
With
Port.
Josie Spoons and
Josie
Rusty
Spoons
Chicken.
and Rusty
All of
Chicken.
which have been on my show.
Yes, they have.
That was probably a really good show.
Yeah, it was actually really great. And then Friday I played in Joliet, Illinois at a place called the Drunken Donut.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday I played in Dubuque, Iowa at the Broken Lift. And then Sunday I played in Madison at my buddy Matt's. He called it his shitty basement, so we'll call it Matt's shitty basement in Madison. And then last night I played in Madison again at the Wisco.
For 900 people.
For 900 people.
For 900 people. And now you're here. So upcoming.
And now I'm here.
Upcoming, what do you have?
I'm done with October now.
Just done with it.
I mean, I've got nothing else booked, and that's fine because, you know, I did this in addition to this like weekend tour thing I did a couple shows prior to that, and so I've been pretty busy doing like playing around, promoting the record and everything. And after that, I have a tour coming up in November where I'll fly out to Washington D.C.
Ooh.
And then so from there it'll be, I believe that's the 12th, and then I'll be on tour from the 12th to the 21st, I believe.
Wow. And where will that take you?
So it'll start in DC and we'll go to Maine.
Wow.
Somewhere, Albany, I think, in New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Chicago.
Have you ever played out east?
No, I've been out east, but I've never been.
How did you book this show, this tour?
My friend of mine, W.T. Newton, who's out on tour right now.
He sounds like he should eat cookies and like wear a smoking robe.
DC, that's where I'll meet him. So
Cool.
yeah.
If you ever want to go into Texas, Oklahoma, and then west into like Idaho, which is weird, right? But like Washington and California, we now all have connections out there with people who want the people who have been on our show out that way.
Cool.
So, and we had booked Dropping Daisies out in California with one of the people that we partner with out there. So from San Diego down into Mexico, you could have a whole tour that we can set up for you.
Right on.
So just so you know,
I'll probably hit you up about that.
hey, I'm a
Robert's
plethora of
Roost has
knowledge.
their own house venue too.
Yes,
Has Robert's Roost played this?
they're coming in the spring.
Not our
Really?
place, the radio station.
So Mark and Ren are setting up their upcoming tour to hit off in the spring, and they're going to try to go this way. They've been touring a lot locally in their own area,
Sure.
but they do now have their own venue, and they have a show tonight, I think.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yes, and they have gone back and forth from Sealant Apparitions to Robert's Roost, and this tour that he wants to kick off is going to be the full Robert's Roost.
With
Bocephus?
yeah, with this With his trash drum set?
Yes, that was fucking
That
cool.
was awesome.
They played at the station.
So much.
With that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
There is a YouTube video of them performing in the station.
Yep, you can find it in Jess The Ska Kid on YouTube as the undercuts, because we did a bunch of undercut videos. So people can find you where, Joe?
Well, in your basement currently.
And this has been a staple since I've met you. You've played at like all of my basements.
Yeah,
And it's been fun.
it's one of my favorite things to do, so I appreciate you letting me to do that.
I love. You can come play my basement every fucking week if you want to. Come sing me lullabies, old wolves. I'll read to you maps, and you can read me sing me lullabies.
You can read me the globe I got for you for your birthday.
I love my globe.
Was that your birthday?
It was. You showed up to my house with that. Yes. Yes.
Moving along.
So people can find you on which social platforms so they can connect.
Well, I have obviously I'm gonna have a Facebook and I have a YouTube channel. Like we talked about, the Spotify, Bandcamp. I believe I do have an Instagram. I don't.
Yes, you do.
I follow it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you
okay,
do.
right.
You don't post shit.
Yeah, I don't do. I'm not big on the Instagram thing. I've been told I should use it more often. Maybe I'll start doing that.
We've been told this by bands too, that a lot of their success has been from that platform.
Really?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
What is your name on these platforms?
I don't know.
Old Wolves.
Wisconsin.
Old Wolves, Wisconsin on
Wisconsin, I
Instagram.
believe, yeah, that also is the case for YouTube as well.
Facebook is just Old Wolves?
Facebook is just, I mean, you can just search Old Wolves on Facebook and find it.
All of his albums are available on Bandcamp. They are for purchase as well. And merchandise, good luck. But he occasionally has.
I've got shit with me right now.
Oh my god.
What?
Do you have patches?
No.
Buttons?
You got
Fuck
pins?
yes.
Buttons?
Yes, I have pins.
Oh,
I
I
have
want
CDs.
buttons.
Cool.
Pins and CDs.
Do you have stickers, Joe?
I've never had stickers.
Do you know we make those?
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I'll have some stickers then.
Hey! So your next show is in November. It kicks off on the 12th, you said?
No. The tour is November.
When's your next show, motherfucker?
The next show is November 2nd with the Snake Oil Bandits in Cary, Illinois.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Very
When do you play this fucking Chinese restaurant?
November 23rd.
That's neat.
Play the Plum Garden in Crystal Lake.
Holy shit!
That's-
I've been there.
That's really
Dude,
cool.
it's really good.
That's plum crazy.
When is that?
It's good. It's good food.
Wait, I know, but what day of the week is that?
I believe that is a Friday.
Sounds like a
Damn it.
date night. Should we come watch you and eat
You
Chinese
should.
food?
You should. It was a great time last
Can I
time.
catch a ride?
Yeah. Hey.
Get the pad thai. It's pretty good.
So, let's see. But it's a Chinese restaurant, Mike. You can go. She can eat dinner because she'll eat it, and I can slap her as she eats it with her
You can
hands.
still get drunk at the restaurant.
Yay! We digress. I love having you, and I love getting to talk and get to know more. Do you have any projections as far as anticipated other releases, since you're really good at releasing them about every 6 months?
Actually,
Not that I'm a creep or anything.
after I'm done with this tour in November, I will start the pre-planning process of the next record.
So is the wolf gonna hibernate for the winter?
No, that's when I come live.
Yeah.
As far as recording goes, because there's nothing fucking else
Wolves
to
don't
do. so-
hibernate.
And there's not mountains in Arkansas! So, we've learned lots of things tonight.
Plateaus.
We're never gonna let this go.
No,
Flat
so
hills.
that takes us, we're probably over our hour at this point. Joe, thank you so much. I hope
you
that
very
when
much.
you release every album, you come and do a little thing for us, because I love listening to you play Shovel and a Broom right now, and The Day's Bread, and just, I don't know, you have very moving music, and it's, I don't know, it is moving and it's thought-provoking, but it's also calming. Like,
It's
even
kinda like,
though there is a storm within the song, it's like, this gives me solace. So thank you
I
so much for
appreciate that.
joining us.
Absolutely.
And we will see you all on Tuesday when we interview 2 Minute Minor.
Actually
And-
tomorrow.
Up the Pups, calm down. Yes, we have new music, and I have a ton in the archives that we gotta play. But you'll catch us tomorrow for that. You'll catch us Tuesday for 2 Minute Minor, when we're going to be discussing their band and Up the Pups. Thursday, we have a double header for you. We have Chad from Vardo talking about Fridoween. And then we have, at our regularly scheduled time, Tutu and the Pirates, a fucking iconic punk band that helped lead the way into breaking into the Chicago punk rock scene. So, catch us for an awesome lineup from Friday through next week. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Come on.